Hello, this is a continuation from exponential functions where we're going to be talking about how to actually graph them, and we're going to be talking about domain and range as well. So if you'd look here at the top, we are talking about domain, and domain, just a reminder, is x, the variable x. And here a keynote whenever we're talking about exponential functions and they are written to you in equations, then we can automatically say that domain is all real numbers. So what does that mean? That whenever we have these four examples that we have here, where we see domain, which again it's x, we're going to go ahead and write all real numbers. And I'm just abbreviating numbers. So if you, without even graphing any of these, we're going to go ahead and write all real numbers. So anytime you see they're looking for domain, then you can go ahead and select all real numbers for domain and range. Because we are short on calculators and you all probably don't have one at home, then the graphing, we're going to go ahead and there's two ways you can do it. You can either graph it and just match, but because again we do not have that calculator, the other way that you can do it is go ahead and create a table for every single problem, and we can go ahead and start if you want with 0. But again, anything to the 0 power in this case is 1, based on the properties of law of exponents that we went over a couple days ago. So here, if you were to put 0, then it would be a 1 here. So that means that that's going to be crossing through the y-intercept. And then we can go ahead and change it. So we're going to go ahead and put 1. So again, this will be changing right here as the exponent. And anything to the 1 power will be 6. So about 1, we're going to go ahead and do a dot somewhere around there. And just keep in mind that it's an exponential function, and it is going to be it is going to be curving. So it should look something similar to that. Again, I am going to show you a little trick right now, so like that you're able to identify what's going to be the domain and range for these type of problems. So a little key thing right here is whenever we're talking about exponential is that you have an asymptote. And what an asymptote does is that it might seem like it's reaching the 0 right here, but it never touches. So that's what an asymptote is. So it looks like it's touching, but it doesn't touch. Now, again, for domain, we talked about domain, and domain is all real numbers. But the range, what you're going to be doing is you're going to be telling me, you always start with the y, and you're going to be telling me, are the y's greater than where the asymptote is? Or so greater will be up here, or are the y's, are we doing the function below where the asymptote is? And in this case, they are above. So if you recall your inequalities, this will be greater than, and then all you're doing is you're going to be putting the asymptote where the asymptote is, and in this case it's at 0. And again, just to recap, the range is your y. And for these inequalities, notice that I didn't put the equal to. The reason why I didn't put the equal to is because the asymptote never touches, wherever the asymptote is, it never touches that line or that point. It never gets there. It gets extremely, extremely close, but it never gets there. So it's never going to be equal to. So if we take a look at these other problems, I'm gonna go ahead and graph them for you, and then like that we can go ahead and see what the range is on all 3 of the remaining problems. So I already went ahead and graphed them for you, and what you see here in number 2, we already see here the asymptote, And the asymptote for this one, well, if the asymptote for this one, if you see, is on the y, and it's 1, 2, 3, 4, -4. And notice that right here, that's actually your asymptote. Your last number there would be your asymptote. So if you're looking at your equation, and if you have a number at the very end, that would be actually your asymptote. And if you go back to your range, you're going to be doing y, and then you put the number that is in the back, if it has one. If it doesn't have one, like number 1 right here, we didn't have one, so that's why we went ahead and put 0. So here we do have one, which is, again, -4. So we're going to go ahead and put -4. And now you're going to ask yourself, is it above that asymptote line where you have the function, or is it below that asymptote line? And if it's above, it's going to be greater than, and if it's below, it's going to be less than. So in this case, again, it's above, so you're going to go ahead and put that greater than sign. So if we jump to number 3, we have, again, we notice that we do not have number in the very back. So we know that our asymptote would be at 0. Again, we're talking about y. And all we're going to be doing is checking if where the asymptote is, do we have the function on top or below that? And we do notice that it is above, so we're going to go ahead and put greater than. And last but not least, we do have number 4. And same thing here. Notice at the very back, we do have a number there. So that will be where our asymptote will be lying on, and that's where we have it right here. So in our range, we're going to go ahead and put y, and then our number would be 1. That's where our asymptote is, and it's not going to touch that number. And if we ask ourselves, it's going to be above or below that. And we see that it is above. You are going to see a few of them that are going to be below, so just keep that in mind. And again, also keep in mind that when it's above the asymptote, it's going to be greater than, and if it's below the asymptote, it's going to be less than. Another thing to keep in mind is whenever you're looking at your equation, so there's a little trick there. If you have a fraction, here, before the exponent, your exponential will be going from left to right. It will be going down. And if you have a number, and more than likely it will be positive, unless it has a negative in the front, and then your exponent up here, then your exponential will be going from left to right. It will be going up. So this one decreases from left to right. It decreases, and then if it just has the number by itself, no fraction, from left to right, it increases. So that's a little hint there that you might want to be able to use. So for this one, you are going to be doing some IXLs. And for these IXLs, I do have one that's going to be for graphing. So try your best on that one, because again, I know you guys do not have calculators at home. And the other one with domain and range shouldn't take you that much time. And that one is X3 on IXL. If you have any questions, please reach out to me. Thank you.